Good evening, caller. Please go ahead.
Good night, Mr. Reynolds.
Yes, sir. We ran out of time, so quickly, please.
Good night, Mr. Prime Minister.
Hi, good night. How are you?
Mr. Prime Minister, I hear the business people making a good talk about VAT coming too soon.
Mm-hmm.
But tonight you give us a little rundown on that. I agree with that. But what in the taxing? What date is the Labour Cut coming?
Oh, I see.
In the taxing at all?
Yes, yes.
And just give us a little hint about that.
A little hint.
Okay, bye-bye.
Great.
I think you will get an announcement from the Minister of Labour fairly soon about the implementation date of the Labour Code. I think the Minister has briefed Cabinet, but I will leave it to him to make that announcement at the right time.
Great. That was a simple question to answer.
Sure.
The two other questions that the previous caller asked, the parody and the Black Cigar Token.
First, very quickly, in the case of Le Parade, we are very anxious to find a solution to that problem that they have suffered. I don't know whether people are aware of that it is tied up to the fate of Clico in Trinidad, because the loan for Le Parade was in fact from the Clico Investment Bank. So with the collapse of Clico and the takeover of Clico by the central bank, the Le Parade loan is caught up with the general problem of trying to reconcile and to resolve the huge debt portfolio of Clico Holdings. So that is caught up in that. But we are having discussions with investors. Investors come in on a regular basis. We encourage them to look at the property. And I hope very soon that we would be able to engage the owners of Le Parade to find a solution. The solution will have to be flexible. Mm-hmm. The solution will have to be realistic in the sense that we are in a different environment, very different environment, and there will have to be sacrifices on all sides. In other words, there will have to be some give and take if we are to resolve this problem of Le Parade. But it's high on the government's agenda. The Black Cigar Toga, I am pleased that we have seen some modest improvement with the recent efforts by the government. I really wish that the former government had taken our advice to heart when we offered it while we were in opposition. We are now paying a huge price for the negligence of the former government. But the responsibility now is ours, so we have to take it in hand. The government has just allocated some $12.5 million, and already some of the fungicide that is required to deal with the problem is being distributed to farmers. So too are we making fertilizers available to farmers to deal with the problem. The government is committed to securing what remains of the banana sector. It is vital to this economy. We have to keep farmers occupied, but it will take a lot of resources to bring the Black Cigar Toga under control. You will never be able to bring it under total control. What it means is that we have to improve the husbandry of our farms and the maintenance of our bananas. So for example, you will have to spray far more frequently than you did a couple of years ago to be able to be in a position to control the Black Cigar Toga. But there's new will, there's new determination, and I'm happy to see that farmers have taken the issue to heart, and they're doing the very best. It is tough and hard for the farmers out there. They haven't had much of an income over the last couple of years to give them any joy. They're struggling against the odds, so we have to try to reach out as best as we can to assist them in coping with this dreaded disease.
I have two very brief questions.
Sure.
On the Black Cigar Toga, former Agriculture Minister Calix George made some pronouncements last week in terms of the way the disease was being managed. Any thoughts on that, considering he was your Agriculture Minister in the former SLP administration?
Well, let me put it this way, that Mr. George is known for his outspoken comments, generally very irrepressible. But I believe that he gave those comments in good faith and that he was well-intentioned, and that I think the Minister of Agriculture has to take on board all comments from all sides, from all angles, as he deals with that issue. And certainly Mr. George is someone whose comments really ought to be respected, because he's had such a long history with the agricultural sector. And he's certainly welcome to share his views with us on a continuous basis to facilitate that process.
Well, I think we've been given some grace, and
yes,
I was just told...
I noticed that I think we have a call. So.
Yes, so let's take that call. Good evening, caller. Thank you for your contribution. Please go ahead.
Quinton, good night.
Good night, sir.
Dr. Anthony, good night.
Hi, good night, sir.
One question for you, boss.
Yes, sir.
Will you remove the airport tax?
Which airport tax are you talking about?
The one they put on for the reconstruction for the new terminal.
View Fort. Okay, good. Good question.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, the caller has raised an important question. If an announcement on that issue will be made in the budget as well, we will give a status update on the airport and the rehabilitation of the airport. So I'm going to deal with that. But so far, the tax has not been removed, but I want to assure the caller that an authoritative statement will be made in the budget on that matter.
So, okay, so will we see a removal?
An authoritative statement will be made on that matter. Suffice it to say, Clinton, I think it is unethical, it is wrong for us to be imposing a tax when on a project that has not commenced and is not likely to see the light of day in the immediate future, meaning next 2 months or 3 months. So I would rather wait until the budget so I can clarify the situation, and then I would be able, I would certainly make a clear statement as to the future of that tax.
Good evening, caller. Please go ahead.
Good evening, Mr. President, and good evening, the Prime Minister.
Are you calling Clinton President? I like that.
Yeah, Mr. Clinton. Mr.
Good,
Clinton.
good evening, sir.
You
Good
said
evening.
Prime Minister, so
Yeah.
you have a new title, Clinton.
I seem to have one.
Yes, sir. Go ahead, please.
Okay. Yes, I'd like to hit the issue of collection.
No, say that in light of what?
Of collection. I'd like to speak on the issue of collection of the VAT.
Okay, good.
Okay, like the collection of NIC contributions.
Right.
Over the years, we know that there are problems in recovering those contributions that the workers made.
Right.
Like, for example, what could happen, is there a mechanism put in place to ensure what workers or contributors suffered as it relates to their contribution to the NIC?
Yes.
That has anything in place that will ensure that the government collects their contribution on a timely basis and there's no discrepancy in that area.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Very
Well,
good question.
the caller is absolutely right to draw attention to this, and if that is to be fair, then clearly it has to be collected
Yes.
from all of those persons who have a responsibility to transfer the VAT income to the government, or the VAT revenue, sorry, for want of a better term. And a lot of this will have to do with education. A lot of our businesses do not keep records of their activities, and we will have to make sure that we educate them and to explain to them how VAT works and how the system is to be applied. So both education and vigilance will be critical. St. Lucia has a huge problem. St. Lucians, well, let me put it this way. Not all St. Lucians are faithful to paying their liabilities to the government. It's a huge problem that millions of dollars remain unpaid. But VAT is a very demanding tax in the sense that it will find you and search you out. That's one of the strengths of VAT. So that if you're not honoring your commitments, then it'll be fairly easy to identify the problem and where the problem lies, because so much of this now is handled through new technology, new computer systems and programs, etc. So some of that will be done, and I do hope that that could be minimized, but I believe that education is going to be critical and crucial.